Women in Nazi Germany. The role of women had been improving throughout the Weimar years. Women had new political power. They could vote at the age of 20, which was the same as men. They were becoming more economically integrated. Female employment boomed with World War I. Many women used it for income, which expanded female employment by 1/3. Contraception allowed females the power to choose if or when to have families, boosting income but slowing growth population. Aims. Nazi believed that men and women had naturally different roles in life. A man's role was to be the soldier, worker, defender and provider. A woman's role was to be in the home, having children and caring for her family. Women in Nazi Germany could be summed up with 3 Ks. Kinder, Kirche, Kircher, which means children, cooking and church. A woman's duty was to stay at home, support their husbands and have as many children as possible in Nazi Germany. Creation of the Women's Front Organisation. To bring women in line with Nazi ideology, this was done through the creation of the Women's Front, set up by Dr. Robert Ley in May 1933. All 230 women organisations in Germany were to expel their Jewish members and to join the Women's Front or face being disbanded. Women and employment. After 1933, many women were forced to give up their jobs and stay at home, especially married women and those in professional and government jobs. 15% of teachers were sacked. All women doctors and 19,000 civil servants were sacked. From 1936, no woman could serve as a judge, and women were no longer accepted for jury duty. University places for women were capped at only 10%, which therefore had an effect on the professionally competitive female workforce. Women at university was impressively high in Weimar Germany. Financial incentives encouraged married women to leave employment. The Depression had an effect on female employment. The Nazis could justify reducing female employment in favour of increasing male employment. Job changes discouraged female employment. However, concerning women and employment, Nazis were soon caught in contradictions of their own ideology. 1. Trading with caution. There was careful not to upset women's groups who had joined the Women's Front. Some female teachers who had lost their jobs in 1933 got them back temporarily. 2. The real figures. Despite the official Nazi line, the figures for female employment in professions actually went up, except for law. Females employed as doctors, for example, has risen from 5% to 7%, mainly due to the economic recovery creating more jobs. 3. University levels rose. The cap of females attending universities had been abandoned by 1939 as the demand for qualified professionals increased. 4. Rising female workforce. The effects of war. Nazis found themselves having to backtrack on their policies. Economic recovery in the late 1930s, conscription and especially the demands of war boosted female employment from 11.6 million to 14.6 million. Nazi policies on women and the family. The Nazi regime encouraged marriage and childbirth, a pro-natalist policy, which is a pro-childbirth policy. Nazi ideology demanded a growing population. War. Boys were needed for the growing army and the demands of war. A strong racial Germany. Germany could only be strong with a population growth, especially among Aryans. Lebensraum. Living space in the east needed to have an increasing German population to fill the promised eastern lands of the 1,000-year Reich. Family was the germ cell of the German nation, and increasing German population was a major priority. This was done in multiple ways. Financial incentives. This was erected to encourage marriage and having children. 1933 Law for the encouragement of marriage. Marriage loans were offered to newlyweds. They were equivalent to half a year's wage. They were interest-free and could be paid over an 8-year period, 1,000 marks. The amount to be repaid decreased by 25% for every child born. 4 children meant that you didn't have to repay anything. This was extremely popular. By 1937, 700,000 couples had taken the loan, and couples with 6 children paid no personal taxation. Family allowances helped those on low incomes, and childless couples were taxed heavily. Abortion and contraception. Contraception was severely restricted and abortion was completely banned under the Nazis. Sterilization was encouraged and was enforced on many deemed genetically inferior. The law for the prevention of hereditary diseased offspring sterilized those suspects of carrying hereditary conditions. Over 100,000 were sterilized, and they were often forbidden from marrying as well. Divorce and Lebensborn. Divorce was officially discouraged except for childless couples. Lebensborn program. Hitler was obsessed with the idea of women producing racially superior Aryan children. Himmler, the SS leader, organized the Lebensborn program, the Spring of Life. This encouraged women to bear children to racially pure SS officers, even if they were married or not. Members of the BDM were even encouraged to get involved. During World War II, they were extended to kidnap Aryan-looking children from all over Europe. 11,000 children were born in the spring of life. Control and encouragement. 1934, Gertrude Schultz-Klink was made National Women's Leader of the Third Reich. Her job was to indoctrinate German women. Women were encouraged to attend maternity schools and study home economics and to follow the party line. Germanic hairstyles and dress were encouraged. Makeup, dyeing hair, smoking, slimming, wearing trousers, high heels, and pierced ears were all discouraged. Motherhood Cross. Mother's Day was changed to Hitler's mother's birthday on the August 12th. The status of women was raised by a series of propaganda campaigns. The Mother's Cross was introduced for those with large families, gold for 8 children, and bronze to 4 children. Women became increasingly aware of the slogan, "I have donated a child to the Führer." However, concerning the policies, there were major drawbacks. Birth rates varied. Birth rates did rise significantly in the early years but did not match the Weimar Germany rates, and the rate began to decline from 1939 onwards. Sterilization, men being conscripted, and the RAD did not help population growth. Divorce rates continued to climb. Lebensborn was very unpopular as many were deeply critical of the morality of it. Nazi policies or natural increase. Many questioned the success of Nazi policies, as increased marriage could be more to do with the economic improvements rather than the Nazi policies. Other problems. Shortage of housing discouraged many Germans from starting families, and abortion rates remained high. Health issues. By the end of the war, 23% of German young girls had venereal disease. Prostitution had also quadrupled. Impact of war on women. The number of German women in the workforce at the start of the war was higher than that in Britain. 88.7% of single women were in employment. This was very high figures. Active female recruitment. 1938, the Nazi Party began to recruit women more actively. 1-year labour service. 1938, all women entering the labour market had to first complete a year in agriculture or industry in order to make up the skills shortage caused by men being conscripted. The measure expanded the workforce by 200,000. Marriage loans ended. This was an effort to encourage women into the workforce. Female agricultural workers. In 1939, women represented 36.6% of the agricultural workforce, and by 1944 this had increased to 65.5%. Female conscription proposed. 1943, Hitler resisted a proposal by Albert Speer that women be conscripted into essential war work. This would have been bad for morale. It is likely that the numbers involved would have not been high anyway, since so many were working in other vital areas.